faith, believe in your source, have faith.
Welcome to Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs, the podcast that dives deep into the stories of trailblazers who shape our world. Our co-host, Lulu Benavidez, is a seasoned entrepreneur in the beauty industry, is a photographer, artist, and the proud owner of Lulu's The Salon in Galveston, Texas. Our other co-host, Krokonis Hanson, is a visionary in the entrepreneurial world with years of experience in business innovation and development. Together, they bring you insights, inspiration, and the journeys of remarkable individuals who have made their mark. And with that, let's get started. Gail Federici is a true innovator in the beauty industry, known for creating breakthrough hair care solutions that tackle challenges often overlooked, especially for color-treated, frizzy, and hard-to-manage hair. As the CEO and founder of ColorWow and Federici brands, Gail has built a career on solving real problems with real results. With over 40 years of experience, Gail began her journey at ZOTOS, rising from assistant to VP of corporate communications. Her career transformed in 1987 when she partnered with legendary stylist John Frieda to co-create John Frieda Professional Hair Care, launching iconic products like Frizzies, Sheer Blonde, and Beach Blonde that reshaped the industry. After selling the brand in 2002, Gail launched ColorWow in 2013, a brand known for innovation and excellence. Flagship products like the award-winning Root Cover-Up and the game-changing Dream Coat Anti-Humidity Spray have earned global praise and more than 100 beauty awards. Gail's approach blends scientific precision, consumer empathy, and a fearless drive to innovate. Her office walls are lined with quotes from Navy SEALs and Winston Churchill, reminders of her belief that no challenge is too big to overcome. Through her leadership, Gail continues to inspire the beauty world, proving that with the right vision and relentless passion, true innovation is always within reach. Today, we're excited to hear her story, learn about her creative process, and explore how she's redefining the future of hair care. Please welcome Gail Federici.
Welcome to Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. I'm your co-host, Lulu Benavidez, along with my sidekick, Krokonis Hanson. Today's guest is someone very special to us, Gail Federici, the CEO and visionary behind Federici brands and the iconic W.O.W products. Gail, Sue, and I go way back over 40 years at ZOTOS and at Conair. And we had the honor of watching her rise to be the co-founder of John Frieda product lines and eventually built her own beauty empire. Today, we talk about her journey, how it all began, her leadership style, and how she built a team that feels like a family, her love of music, and how she balances being a powerhouse CEO and a proud mother, wife, and of course, a grandmother. So welcome, Gail, to the podcast.
Thank you. So good to see you guys.
Yes.
Same here.
Great to see you. Yes, it is. Well, and Gail, full disclosure, Lulu really hit on it, but we've been friends for 40 years. We worked together at companies. You know, I hold you in my heart, but I watched how you left Conair, did John Frieda products, and then the W.O.W products are everywhere. And they're fabulous, fabulous products. And the word visionary is what I would use to describe you. But the question that I've always wanted to ask you, I know how hard you work. I know how driven you are. I know how every little detail means so much to you. Did you always plan to own your own company, to be the iconic person that you are? Or did it all just come together? I mean, it's amazing to me what you've done in really a short period of time, Gail.
Thank you, Sue. But, you know, I never, ever anticipated, it was never my goal to run a company, not even slightly. I think I would have been the most likely, I would never be picked as the most likely to succeed. For sure. Because when I was younger, I didn't really, you guys knew me, I was always putting on shows. It was wherever I could get a show into with this creative design group, with ZOTOS, with Conair. It was music and it was strategy for sure.
Yeah.
There was a message. But no, it was really when I had my twins that I felt really driven because one of them, you know, Alex was born with congenital heart disease.
Yeah.
And that was so, first of all, having twins was shocking. And the fact that one of them had something very serious, I thought, oh my God, I've got to grow up and get very serious and make sure that I could afford whatever she needed going forward.
Yeah.
Because my husband, he was the salesperson, but really he was the music person in the family.
Right.
So, and I was more the business side. So that is really what's fueled the drive for me. They say that fear can either be a headwind and stop you, or it can tailwind and push you forward. It's very afraid. And that's when I became insanely focused on, and super serious about, okay, you've got to be able to majorly provide for her, because I didn't know what she needed. I knew she would, wherever we had to go to find the best doctor, we would have to go. So I think that, you know me, you wouldn't think, I worked a lot, I worked a million hours, but I wasn't trying to be the CEO of anywhere. I just liked to work. And I liked to figure things out. I always liked it. But I was never driven by power or money. It was really, I liked what I did. I had a passion for it, so that helps a lot. But then it was also when I had my twins.
I'm chuckling, and I don't mean to be, because obviously what your daughter went through is serious. I'm chuckling because I think you just said that we worked with the kinder, gentler Gail Federici.
I have this alter ego. Her name is Valentina. Sometimes when I go to Europe, they know me as Valentina. But the office here asks, when is Valentina going to visit Connecticut? We prefer Valentina to Gail, who's just...
God, I remember, there were a lot of things Sue and I remember, but one of the things you called me years ago when you were with John Frieda, and you called me 2 days before he was to go on Channel 13, a local TV program here in Houston, and you said, Lulu, I want you to get him a model. I said, Gail, you call me 2 days at a time. I live in Galveston, 45 minutes away from Houston. I cannot get him a model. Anyway, he got himself a model, and I wanted help, picking him up and helping him. But that's what I remember of you.
I remember that. I remember that we were all very focused back in the day.
Oh,
I might be more serious. It's still to me about, spent so many hours working.
Yeah.
It can't be all serious. You need to also have fun.
Right.
When you're doing it. So in that way, I think I'm pretty much the same. I just have a lot more responsibility than I can.
I'm sure you have. So you are currently the CEO of this brand.
Yeah, ColorWow.
The WOW brand, right? And can you tell us a little bit more about the WOW products? But before you do that, can you, I'm a salon owner and we carry all the WOW products.
Thank you.
We love them. So can you tell us all about it?
I just have to say one thing, because I was going to say it first thing. The minute I saw your new hairspray that was called Texas Hold'em, I was like, oh my God, they should just put Gail Federici on the label. It is oh my God, Gail. It's unbelievable.
Thanks. Well, you guys know me, and it was always, like back from John Frieda, we were always a problem solution company, and we still are. So, my hair is naturally super frizzy.
Yeah.
I have a little curl and a lot of frizz. So when I was at ZOTOS, I spent a lot of time up with the Dr. McDonough at the time. I was in the lab a lot and trying to figure out things and understand why would a hairstylist want this product that we were. So I talked to the chemists a lot, and there was no product for frizz back in the day. One single one. So when I joined John, he had his own group of products, but I had been thinking about what to use for my hair type because there was nothing out there. And that is it was huge white space. And that's what led to the thinking and the formula for the first frizz product ever, Frizzies. And we have always stayed true to that, because every single product that we came out with back in the day was geared toward initially a specific issue that somebody with my hair type would have.
Right.
Because back in the day, the only styling products were geared for people that had fine limp hair. Typically, brands thought that people that had a difficult time styling were those that had the limp hair, not the people that had more substance to their hair. But for me, I wanted to control it. I wanted to smooth it. It was the opposite. So that was major white space. That's how we started. And we continued always to either identify white space, or in the case like frizzies or sheer blonde, or identify something that maybe wasn't being done as well as a consumer would want it to be done, like the temporary root cover-ups. So that's, 13 years ago, we launched that powder. I noticed my sisters having this gray stripe, and I was wondering why they weren't covering it. I have the worst hair in the family. I've got super, dry, frizzy hair. They have straight hair, but they went gray before I did. And I'm thinking, why aren't you covering it? And they said, because there's only sprays out there that get all over the place, and they're wet. Markers, they look like shoe polish. And then I started looking in malls when I was on escalators, looking down, and so many people had that. And I thought, this is crazy. Like, there has to be something easy to use. Yeah. Then, long story I won't go into, but that's what led to the development of the root cover-up. And then forever, since back in the day with Dr. Joe Sincata, I always said, listen, the frizzies is great. It makes it easier for me to blow my hair dry. But the minute I walk outside, my hair would frizz up. And the same with anything that we were developing, it would still frizz up. I said, there's got to be a way to stop the humidity, the moisture from getting into your hair. And this is so long in the making that we've been thinking about this, because it's such a personal thing to me. It takes me so long to blow my hair dry, and then only to walk out and have it completely ruined. So about 8 or 9 years ago, he came into my office, I remember, and showed me water dropping onto untreated hair, and then water dropping on with what is now the Dream Coat, and it would just speed up. And that led to the Dream Coat being so big and so huge. And so it's always been, let's identify something that hasn't been addressed, or let's identify something that people aren't really satisfied with. It's an issue like roots, and maybe we can do it better. So that's always what, because you know what, I always say that, of course you want to make money, but if you make something that matters,
Right.
you automatically.
All right.
Exactly.
And it's better for your soul. Like when you come in and you're working all day, it's more rewarding to make a difference. It's so much more rewarding. So that's just what we stick to.
Well, you wouldn't know this, Gail, but I've been recommending your products for years because, as you know, I have a company called W.O.W Hair Solutions, and we make different hair pieces for women for various alopecia, from genetic, from whatever. And even though the client can wear it day or night for 5 to 6 weeks at a time, and then they come in and just have a reset. But it's like their natural hair, because we use 100% human cuticle hair. So I tell stylists, when the clients wore it for a couple months and she comes in and her hair needs a treatment, you need a treatment on that hairpiece, you should use Dream Coats, because it does a natural coating. It's not waxy, but it gives it back the shine. So see, I've been one of your salespeople this whole time, and you didn't even know it.
You're positioning exactly right. Chris Appleton that works with us.
Yeah.
He sometimes when he's at a trade show or something shows extensions when he gets them and after they're dream coated, and it's completely nice.
Yes. Yeah, it's fabulous, fabulous product.
Well,
well, Gail, I'm jealous of you for many reasons, but one of the reasons that I'm jealous is you kind of have done what I had always wanted to do. A lot of people won't know this, but you not only have a fabulous company, but you work with a lot of your family in the company, which kind of adds a whole nother dimension.
It totally does. Brother, our lawyer. I've got my 2 sisters, one who heads up operation, one who heads up PR. I've got my daughters. I have a niece. I have a brother-in-law. I have a sister-in-law. I mean, I can't. And then so many people that have been with me for 30 years.
Yeah.
They're like family. And actually, even the new people over the years, really is it's run like a family, except the one difference is my real family, like my sisters and my brother, I mean to sometimes.
Well, it's hard directing family because it's hard to say, okay, this is the office, and over here I love you, and let's celebrate so-and-so's birthday. That's a really tight walk.
It's tricky, but I'm the oldest. So I was always the boss of them in a way. Do you know what I mean? And we're very much, we just kind of say it to each other like it is, but I do have to warn people because I was getting mad at one of my sisters in the office. But they know, they don't, goes in one ear and out the other. In a way, they listen. And somebody was outside the office that was new and thought, oh, I'm not going into her office. And somebody said, oh, no, she's nothing like that. It's just her family in there. And they yell at each other.
It's the Italian, right?
100%. We just yell at each other. And it doesn't really, we don't take it personally really at all.
Yeah. Well, and you've always had a way of doing that because I remember when Lynn got hired at ZOTOS, she's fabulous, she's just such a good person. And Kim was, involved in different products. And so it's evolution that they're right where they should be because this has been building for years and years.
Decades. Yeah. Totally. We've been working together. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
those Federici girls.
So on balance, it's just, you can totally count on them. But I really say this so truthfully. The pandemic shows you really, it brings out the best or the worst in people. Mm-hmm. And I have to say that, sure, the people that have been with us for 30 years, they're always there. But this whole new team that we have, I would not want to be in the trenches with anybody else. Yeah. They really are like family. And that's where we're really lucky because it's not, down to me. Like some people think, oh, you've done it before and I'm the secret sauce. But really, it does take a lot of people and input you have to listen to really kick the tires and come up with what you believe really works and makes total sense. And I feel very lucky to have all of those people here.
Well, I feel like not only are the products great, but I mean this, knowing you for many years, anyone who would work for you, Gail, is very, very lucky. And they should listen and observe. And you have a way of creating an environment that does bring the best out in people. It does.
Thank you. I just think it's, what are you here for? When people report to you, it is to try to mentor them because it's good for the company and it's good for them. And that's also our job. And you just do want to. And also the key too is as much as we were so focused as a group, and I mean, I think the creative design group goes down in professional history. Being by far and away the best educational team ever created. Without question. And that was, as a result of Sherry, of course, led everybody, and all of you. It was a very tight team. And I stayed friendly with John Donofrio.
Sure.
From those days. I know. Miss him.
My heart.
Yes. We were very close and lovely. And I called John to help me raise money for Boston Children's Hospital after I don't even know how many years. Yeah. Boom. He was right there. And we created that same kind of feeling back in the day. That I feel that we've luckily been able to keep going here. But we were all like that. Yeah. It was a great, unbelievable team of professionals, educators, creators. I thought it was amazing. Yeah. Yeah. We had, as much as we worked so hard, did we not have huge fun?
Oh, yes.
Of course. Of course. Of course.
That was funny. It was
fabulous.
And Dwight doing all of it.
I remember when they did the parachute and he came out and was parachuting. I was like, Dwight is going to be on our show. We tried. We had some technical difficulty, but we are definitely going to have him. But Gail.
He is also like iconic.
Yes.
One off. It was like so many talented people. So many talented.
You talked about your family, not only your coworkers, but also family, your real family.
Yeah.
I have owned a salon for now 47 years, and my family's involved. And so I know the system. We can yell at each other, but you don't yell at the employees. It just goes to show you that the next generation, what you're doing today, you're going to pass that torch to the next generation. That's what you're doing. And even as a salon owner, I noticed that what we were doing years ago when we first started and what we're doing today, the management part is more than the technical part. Managing people. And I have, three of my daughters work there at the salon. One just got ill, but one of them is the manager, and she does so much, from ordering to keeping everybody together. It's just so much more in running a business, and that's what you do so
It's in her
freely.
And she's watched her whole life. And that is really helpful. I wasn't sure how it would be with my daughters coming in because we were in the music business together, and that was a little tricky. And I thought, I don't know how this is going to go, but it's been amazing. And I never realized how much has soaked into them, products and just business in general over the years. Because you're a working mom, and they do learn a lot from that. It's got its pros and cons, I guess, but there are a lot of pros to it.
Gail, when you talk about the music business, and obviously all the shows and all the stuff we did, but this is what I think of. I think of being in the office. It's 7:30 at night. We've worked 12-hour days. We had no lunch. We've probably ordered out for Chinese, and everybody is just out of their mind crazy. And we're grabbing brushes or whatever we have to do microphones, and we're singing in any open space. There's several songs that remind me of you, but I hear Addicted to Love, and I'm instantly like you're standing in front of me. And I think that is such a cool juxtaposed position to the very professional, successful brand manager, because music is not only influenced you and influenced what we do, but it really is in your family. And so can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. I mean, I do think music, it lightens the pressure too, it's just, who doesn't connects people. It brings out the, more fun side of somebody, and it just feels good. Music to me feels good, and to most people. And we made this commercial at John Frieda where we put my daughters in it because it was for sheer. And models in the day, they all had long hair. We didn't want to show long hair, but models wouldn't cut their hair. So my twins, who had blonde hair, they didn't care. They said, sure, we can cut. So we had Sally Hirschberger cut their hair into these unbelievable haircuts. And we thought, wow, we don't have a lot of money. And MTV was just happening at the time, but it wasn't expensive to run. Anyway, put the daughters in the commercial. They sing, and they got that from my husband, not remotely from me, even though I sing all the time, as you know, but probably people don't like that so much. But so we put them in the commercials, ran them on MTV, and it became, huge. Very little budget, but it became huge. People were coming to us singing the jingle. People were following the twins through the airport. Oh my God, you're those girls. So what happened then was we sold John Frieda, and people had been contacting us about the girls, different labels and things. So went into the music business, which was because I had a non-compete. And that was where I started getting my gray hair. Oh my God, what a different world. But it was so much fun. The girls got signed eventually to Interscope label, and then they had some songs out. And then Alex went back to college, stayed for a while. She had another song out. But it was such a different world. We needed a break. We didn't really want to sell John Frieda, to be honest. And it was a shock to the system. And music seemed to be cathartic somehow. Because it was almost like PTSD when John Frieda was sold.
Oh, yeah.
It's what we did. Do you know what I mean? It's what we did, and we couldn't do it anymore. So went into music, and it was really the most fun, the most aggravating, the most stressful, crazy. But I wouldn't change it. Yeah. It was really interesting. We worked with, people like Tricky Stewart, who wrote Justin Bieber's Baby, and Single Ladies for Beyonce, and like a host of other songs, and Dallas Austin, like amazing people that it was a privilege to work with that kind of talent. So I wouldn't change it at all, but It was wild. I'll just tell you that. It was nuts. And then, of course, where did I wind up? After we sold John Frieda, that's enough hair. We've been there, done it. And so after a while, we said, we've got to think of something else.
Here you are.
Yeah, here I am again.
With the WOW products, right?
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about the WOW products?
Yeah, well, it started with the root cover-up. And then
Yeah.
we decided, we were thinking about it, we can't just come out there with just these powders. We need to have a full line. Is there any, thing substantive that we can do with that? Because we're not a permanent hair color company. We don't have that kind of technical knowledge. We can't do that. So what else goes along with it? And we were thinking that, people used to be defined by haircuts. Way back in the day, Dorothy Hamill and Farrah Fawcett, Rachel, haircuts and styling. And color was really not big at all. And if you did color your hair, it was like, did she or didn't she?
Right.
You didn't want anybody to know.
Right.
Then we were noticing that, as we were thinking about color, it was clear to us that people were identifying or defining their personalities no longer through cuts, but more through color. People were going pink, they were going platinum, then they were going dark. Which meant that the hair was getting more destroyed than ever before by color, because it was such extremes and so often, change up your identity. Kind of express yourself. And then we thought, there are products out there for color treated hair, but they're really tiny tweaks in the formulations. They're not a real difference. So we thought, let's figure out what we can do to really make a difference for this kind of hair. So we put in every product 2 to 3 forms of heat protection in every product except the ones that wash off, like the Dream Filter and shampoo. There's super amounts of heat protection in every one. And then this is weird, and I won't go into the way we figured it out, but it was R&D that did. But there are so many ingredients out there that are in products. There's nothing wrong with them, except that they actually can dull the hair. They can oxidize on the hair.
Correct.
They can just do all sorts of negative things to your hair color. And so we've eliminated. So every single ingredient that we put in to our formulas has, it doesn't do any of that. It has no adverse impact on your color. And so that was the other thing that we were sticklers to, really, really looking at the ingredients to make sure that they won't in any way corrupt your hair color. So that's what the premise of it. The products were powerful, but gentle, and to keep the hair color as absolutely fresh as possible. And that's what started all the different products. And then in that, figure out things like, okay, what about people with frizzy hair? Let's do this. Let's not have any ingredients in it that will in any way impact the color negatively. And even with the new extra large that we've done, my daughter came in one day, Britt, and I'm looking at her, it's so dry looking, it's bleached. And I'm saying, you are not using our products. Your hair looks dry as bone. And she starts laughing and she said, well, you don't have a volumizer. So I went on Amazon and I bought this, #1 volumizer on Amazon. She goes, why don't you have a volumizer? And I said, well, probably because that volumizer that you're using has, trust me, it has salt, drying resins, or alcohol, or all three. Because the only way that you can produce volume in the hair is to blow open the cuticle. I said, and your hair dries out. That's the only way that any product out there for volume can make the volume. So I said, so that's why we don't. But good thinking, let me go back to Joe and the team of one and see what he could do. And then it took him a couple of years, and we made a volumizer that doesn't work by blowing open the cuticle. So your hair stays really, moisturized and in good shape and doesn't do anything to dry it out, which did take a while. It was tricky, but yeah.
That's so true, because that's one of the big sellers in our salon, because we have a lot of also fine hair clients. But how about those curly hair clients? And I use myself as an example. Right now I have the curl, the flow entry. You can't see it. There you go. And then I spray it with this.
Yes, is that shook?
Yes, that's shook. So you can see that my hair is very shiny, yet it defines the curl.
It does. I mean, that's the other thing that we were trying to do, was come up with products for curly hair that didn't leave a cast too much. You didn't feel like it. It was called naked technology, and it was a way of just because oils are critical to super dry curly hair, but they can just not travel down your hair.
Right.
Because of the, wave pattern, the curl pattern, just slide down. So there was a way, so he found a way to basically break up the oils to it so fine that it would slip down the hair. And when you pulled it through, it would enter into without staying on top of it.
Right.
Really interesting to talk to him because it's a very different way to address curls. And anyway, so the position of that curl line is very different than what's out there because you shouldn't feel anything on your hair.
Right.
And you don't. You don't. I don't feel like there's nothing on my hair. And the next morning, all I do is just wash my face, and then I re-wet my hair, and I already have product in my hair.
Yeah, there was somebody that worked for us that she had really curly hair, but it was very close to her head. It was long. It was hard. The hair was hard. So we used her to test.
That's cool.
This one, she goes, I can't just use one product. I have to use 2 or 3. I said, well, please. And she said to me, it hurt her. She didn't want to do it because she'd been so used to using 3 products to get the results. She just used this one product, and that's when we knew that we had something major. And this one was the Dream Coat Curly.
Yes, which is fabulous.
It's insane. And so that's what led us to start developing for curls.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
Well,
it's always like, what can we do to make a difference? Because that is really what feels good. Like we hear from so many, honestly, it's really insane the number of people. And back in the day before people were leaving reviews or calling, we would get file cabinets full of and presents that were given to us. And at the end of the day, it really does make a difference to how you feel about what I know it's just hair. You know what I mean? And it's not like when I go to Boston Children's Hospital, doctors are making massive differences to families and to the future. So it's not that, but still, if this is my chosen area, then I am happy that we're making the difference that we can in our,
So Gail, you are an extremely successful businesswoman, but you also have a charity, which you briefly mentioned it. Can you tell our audience a little bit more about that?
Yes. So my daughter, actually, in January, she had another surgery. She had an open heart surgery when she was 8. She had another one at 13. And we always knew that she would have to have another very big surgery at some point. And it happened to be last October, they told us she would have to have it within 6 months. So she did in January. When she was born and I knew she was going to need the best treatments possible, I had done a lot of research, and all roads led to Boston Children's Hospital as the best. And people from all over the world and all over the country are flown there when they have the most serious and most difficult cases. And so I wanted to give back in some way because they have given me my daughter, which she had very, very difficult. She had a lot of different issues with her heart that had to be addressed. And it was a very serious case. And they, I owe everything to this hospital. So I thought, what way can we pay back? And so I started calling salons. I didn't know any salons in Boston, kind of randomly, to see if we could do hair raising, which is the name of the charity, hair raising and fundraiser, and see if they would give one day a year on a Sunday, bringing in clients and giving all the proceeds to the hospital. And I'm telling you, I have to say, stylists, colorists are so giving because they work so hard all during the week. And then they give up this day. Even after the pandemic, when their revenues were killed during the pandemic, then they still, and we were very cautious about whether we should even ask. They came to us to say, are you going to do this? Yeah. So, the heart of, I think, stylists, maybe because you listen, you're almost a psychiatrist, you understand. People have amazing empathy and compassion. That started, I don't even know how many years ago now, maybe 13, I don't know, 13? And we've made over $2 million for the hospital, which is great, with the help of all of these salons. And we first started to try to do it everywhere, but it was too much for us to handle. And people were thinking, well, I've got a children's hospital right here, California. Why should I give to Boston? But honestly, from all over the world, they go to Boston. If it's serious, whether it's cancer, whatever it is, or heart disease, that's where they go. And that's actually, even though my daughter's 39, because they've always taken care of her and because they have the top people. And they started with all of this kind of surgery that wasn't available before. We still bring her to Boston Children's, and she had an amazing 10-hour surgery that completely reconstructed everything. And hopefully in a couple of months, she should feel better than she's ever done in her life. It's
great.
Unbelievable.
That's great. That's great. Yeah. And I could be wrong about this, Gail, because I see all of your stuff on social media and but don't you have a day with WOW products where you do something that's tied to your charity?
Yes. So we do different things. This past year during Heart Month, we gave a certain part of the proceeds of the day to Boston.
Right.
Different times during the year, we do different things.
Yeah.
But that one day, I go up there. Well, Alex can't do it this year because she's can't do all the walking and going up the flights of stairs yet. But I take one of my grandkids, her daughter, I'll take with me up there. And we visit the salons and just thank them for, they're unbelievable. They do it every year. It's just how I'm like beyond grateful to them, to the hospital. It's an amazing place.
Yeah. That's wonderful, Gail. We do a little thing on our show because really what our goal, Lulu and I, is we've been blessed to know so many wonderful artists and icons and entrepreneurs who live such interesting lives and have given so much. We like to put the spotlight on them. So we designed this little thing called, it's like a quick thing where we just ask you a question and ask you to give us a quick answer because it lets people see a little bit more about the person, not just the talking points or the brand or whatever. So I have 5 questions I would love to ask you if you're willing to kind of play along with us. It's our audience's favorite segment.
Okay.
So, and you'll like it. It's fun. So this is my first one. Who's on your playlist right now?
Well, of course, I have a lot of oldies. Like I'll have Aerosmith, Bon Jovi, Michael Jackson. But I do really like Rosé. She has that song out, APT. I love Bruno Mars.
Yes.
I have him. I actually have this fun song by Tate McRae on there now. I was thinking about it. I have a mix of more old, I have to say, than new.
Yeah. What's the last book you read or listened to?
I really hate to say this, to be honest, because mostly throughout my life, I've read tons of nonfiction, like lots of history, a lot of things. Some of my favorite books were this trilogy on Churchill. I like biographies of Steve Jobs' biography. I've read a lot about business leaders, Bill Gates' book back in the day. But lately, because I feel like business has changed so much that I have less time for reading, and I almost don't want, because I'm looking at my computer all day, and sometimes I'm in meetings all day, or I'm on Zooms all day. I'm looking at something. Then at night, I haven't been able to get to my emails, so I'm on emails for hours. And then when I want to rest, I don't can't. I don't have it in my mind. It's either some junky book on an airplane, whereas I used to read the opposite. I read some not that they're junky books, but whatever James Patterson mystery, which is the opposite of what I've always read. Or I'll watch at night something like Reacher.
Yes.
Just like
mind,
something like that absorbs my mind.
Yep.
I want, okay, what's going to happen next? But my daughters say, are you out of your mind? Because you're stressed all day, and then you watch these kind of adrenaline-based shows where you're still going. So, that's basically what I've been doing.
That is parallel with me. It's exactly my thing, because at night when I'm just fried, I've been dealing with Asia, I can't look at the computer one more minute. I call it finding mindless TV. And I'm just lost in,
I have to. I can't. I don't have a brain cell left.
Yeah, exactly. I totally understand.
Yeah.
Gail, and I just, this question sounds so funny, but do you have a a favorite quote or a motto?
Let me think. I mean, I always told my daughters to think for themselves, but there is a Churchill quote actually that is, oh God, I can't believe I can't think of it. Let me just, I write it down because it's like the essence of, it's like kites rise the highest against the wind, not with it. And
Yes.
I do really believe that. And during the pandemic too, it was, you know, it's challenging. Like I do really like a challenge because I think that is what brings you to your potential, or it can push you. But you've got to kind of rise to the occasion. And I do think that that makes you reach your potential more. The more challenges, you've got to figure it out. And then you've got another bow to your, whatever that is, or arrow to your, whatever. But yeah, so I like that. And I was saying to people, or the other thing I kept saying is that never waste a good crisis. That was, I think, Churchill too. That's what I kept saying during the pandemic, because again, meet the challenge. It's going to bring out whatever you've got inside you, because otherwise you kind of can coast, you know, and you get complacent. And sometimes the, you know, difficulties in life really help you to grow.
Absolutely. So, Gail, I love my next question. I can't wait to hear your answer. If they were making a movie of your life, who would you cast to play Gail Federici?
I don't know. Who would you cast?
The question is for you.
Oh my God. Well, Chris Appleton, when he met me, said, oh my God, and I am not like this person, but he said, you remind me of somebody. Because who is that person in The Devil Wears Prada?
Yeah, it's Meryl Streep.
People say I remind them of Meryl Streep, and I think it's these flat cheekbones. I think
I don't think that's it, Gail.
Or, I mean, I couldn't believe he said that. I barely knew him, and that's what he said.
Yeah.
But maybe, you know, this is like a guilty pleasure. I watch Emily in Paris.
Yes.
Maybe like Lily Collins or somebody.
Yeah.
She's like very business, but she's also kooky. I feel like I'm definitely very business, but I'm also, you know, you guys know.
Oh, Gail, my next question, if you could go back and change one thing, what would it be?
You know what? I don't know that. Not that I think everything was great, but I think that, you know, every step along the way led me to where I am right now. You learn, even when your situation isn't that great, you keep learning.
Right.
You know, through it. And I think that that is really the key to life, is to never stop learning. And there's a quote by Seneca, actually, that it's like the purpose of, I don't know exactly, but the purpose of life is learning, not to graduate, but to further your own development. Is basically the thought process behind it. And you're never too old to keep learning. I think that once you start, you know, losing your curiosity, then, you know, I feel like you fade away. Somehow it's so important to stay involved and curious and to learn. And these days, there's almost really too much to learn, I feel.
Yeah.
Because things are changing so fast. I feel it's exhausting.
Yeah.
It's exhausting, young or old. We're all equally exhausted in here. Because change, and it's like the constant social media, which, you know, sometimes is fun, and then sometimes I get hooked into TikTok and I waste all this time. I have to pay attention to TikTok for work, but also forget it. I'm not working when I'm looking at and going into some other rabbit hole that has nothing to do with work. So, what was I answering?
If you could go back and change one thing.
Yeah, I don't know that I would.
Yeah,
I think because, you know, I've had ups and downs and things, but you're always learning, and it kind of led me to where I am. Maybe I wouldn't have worn such insane clothes.
Oh, you always look great. You always look great.
I had crazy outfits when I think back. Sherry, you're making it hard for me to promote you. You look like...
You look like Emily in Paris sometimes. You know, Gail, I don't mean to talk about myself, but when you're saying that, I think you'll laugh at this. The thing that I've worked really hard at the last 3 years is learning how to be still learning how to relax, and just taking in myself in a healthy way to figure out how to take care of me. Because I've never done any of those things in my whole life. And I've really been working at it. Yeah.
I think that's really, really good. My daughters tell me that all the time. And it's really important, and I agree with you. But if it's not your nature, it's hard to do that.
It's hard. It's very hard.
Hard.
Yeah.
And I'm not really good at that.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah.
I mean, if I go to a place, I might sign up for a massage, and then I never go.
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm running around doing something else.
Yes.
I don't do that type
Yeah.
of thing, and I
Yeah.
know that I should.
Yeah. I never had, but when I got very sick, Gail, and I realized I did, yeah. And I found out how important it is that people really do have to take care of themselves. And I didn't know how to do it.
Ray,
I was never sick. I never missed work. I did, and it's like, yeah.
I
Yeah.
know. I
Yeah.
know it's so important. When Alex was in the hospital, the doctor said, which I was sort of never thought about or didn't think you could see, but she's always had to take very good care of herself, and she's always making sure she eats the right thing and does the exercise that, I mean, she could always exercise to a point. There are things that she always couldn't do, but mostly she's very good about it. And after the surgery, the doctor said that, which I never even thought about, this may be too much information, but he said her bones and tissue, you could tell that she really took good care of herself, that you could tell from something like that. And she did. So now when I'm having a Diet Coke, I don't. Like when I'm having a Diet Coke, I'm thinking, it's like you feel good, you think everything is fine, but what are you doing to...
Right.
I don't know what my bones and tissues are. I don't want to know what this...
Yeah.
that's so important is, like Sue says, take care of yourself.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it is really, really key. And I really should be exercising more. I'm trying to get in the right number of steps. And sometimes I do weights, but I'm not consistent. I a lot of times let my life and work take over, which is, I would never recommend it to anybody. And I'm really trying to do it, but I'm not great, I have to say.
No. Well, Gail, we want you to take care of yourself because we truly love you. And we know so many people over the years who feel the same way, whether you know it or not. You've made a huge impact on everyone that you've ever worked with. And we want you to be around for a long, long time.
Definitely.
And also we can
It's crazy because how long has it been? And it doesn't seem one bit different.
No.
No, not at all.
A million years.
Yeah.
And we're still, it just feels like yesterday I saw you guys.
So where can the audience find you?
At Gail Fed on Instagram. I don't go on Facebook that much.
Okay.
It's mostly Instagram. And I have a TikTok. I look at everybody else's TikToks, but I don't post that much.
Yeah.
Maybe once or twice.
Yeah.
As a joke.
Well, Gail, what a joy it has been catching up with you. It looked like, just yesterday. And we, like Sue said, we admire you so much. Take care of yourself.
You guys said Dwighty for me.
Yeah.
We will.
Yeah.
And to our audience, thank you for tuning in. We love you. If you love today's episode, if you love Gail Federici, if you love the W.O.W products, please go to her website, the W.O.W products, and
it's
purchase them.
ColorWow hair. Sorry, I should have mentioned that.
Yeah. So we love you and good luck to you.
So much. Same to you guys.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks,
It's
Gail.
fun. Thank you.
Wow, what an episode. That wraps up another exciting edition of Artists, Icons, and Entrepreneurs. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you're leaving inspired and ready to chase your dreams. Don't forget to follow us on social media and subscribe to our podcast so you never miss an episode over at youtube.com/artists, icons, entrepreneurs, as well as Facebook at Lulu Benavidez, on IG at Lulu Benavidez, at Evolve Hair Solutions as well. And don't forget to visit our website at lulubenavidez.com and evolvehairsolutions.com to stay updated. Until next time, keep dreaming big, creating boldly, and making your mark on the world. Thanks for listening, and take care, everyone.